evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Emily Norcross, and I'm your host for Up Crossers Creek. Today is July 23rd, 2016, and the wonderful Colleen Kelly is my producer. This is a listener-supported radio. Colleen produces for both Haggy Shack and simulcast on Wolf Spirit Radio. So it's a listener-supported radio. I don't know why I'm hearing feedback. Okay, I think it's done now. All right, so this is a listener-supported radio. If you want to donate, that would be wonderful. If not, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All donations are used for the running of both stations. We also have an archive that is available for a week at no cost, but if there's a show that you want to listen to that's older, like our shows from last weekend, the archive costs $5 a month. You will not be set up for automatic subscription. There will be a message sent to your email each month to confirm whether or not you want to continue. Again, if you guys have any questions, any topics you would like to cover, please type them in all caps so that the moderators can catch your questions and send them out to me. So today I have, so exciting, Nancy Hopkins on the line with us. We are going to be talking about Einstein, his brain, ancient alien stuff, because I've been really into this, and who's better to talk about this stuff than Nancy?
Thank you, Emily. I'm laughing because I didn't know that's what we were going to talk about. Last I knew it was angels.
Well, we can talk about angels, too. Because
No.
This week has been incredibly busy, angel-wise.
Well, we're just going to talk about whatever you want. And I love the idea of Einstein's brain. I've never talked about Einstein's brain.
Well, so, I don't know. I got started on it because, of course, I was watching Ancient Aliens, which is my new addiction. And they were talking about how his brain power, so to speak, the neurons were almost like 30 higher than anybody they've ever dissected before. It was pretty impressive in my opinion. So that's kind of what wanted me to get started on it. But I did want to bring up this week, the angels have been working overtime in my house. If you are not talking to your angels, ladies, gentlemen, talk to your angels. It's very, very, very important. I have had a very, we'll say, emotional roller coaster of a week, and every time I asked for something from my angels, it came through. I know Nancy has been very lucky in that aspect as well. Nancy, do you have any comments, any stories that you would like to share with the listeners about your angels?
Well, yeah, I have lots of angel stories, but I'm more. I want to know your angel stories. Basically, have you always been into the angels, or did you get into that when Christia, who does want to come on your show, but need to schedule it? When she started talking about it, and because she sort of made it a trend with Wolf Spirit Radio.
I would say back in December when she was on the show. I think that was when I really started to get involved and really started to talk to my angels. I would speak to whatever higher being there is, whatever you believe in, whether it's Gaia, God, Buddha, whatever the case is. I was talking to that higher being, and I was not actually seeing a lot of results. And when I started talking to my angels, results were coming out. In the bucket loads. So I was very impressed by it. And so every time I need something, I just imagine myself sitting at the bottom of a big stadium, like a baseball stadium, and every single seat is packed with an angel. And I just say, hey, I would like X, Y, and Z to happen and make sure it's the highest good for everyone involved. And it has come in loads and loads and loads.
It was that image that sold Dolly on it too.
Yeah, it just works.
Yeah. That's kind of like a consensus of belief. Mm-hmm. The more of us that do it, the more of us that think about it in those terms of, they're there to help us, and they are unlimited. It's, like she says, it's like a stadium full.
Yes.
of angels that will help you. It comes down to, what do you think is an angel? Well, it's somebody that can help you.
Yeah.
Me, you know?
Absolutely. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an angelic angel from heaven. It could be anything. Any, you know, and I think it's a lot about making your life positive.
Well, it may be a little more than that. Think about the imagery, okay? Because again, when you're trying to build or manifest a new reality, so much of it is about how you're imaging something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, the image that she gave us was a stadium full of beings who would help you.
Yep.
Whereas prior to that, in the way that you stated it and the way that I did it, was, well, I've got Gaia, 1-on-1. Well, I've got angels. Well, most of the case it's 5-on-1. You know, I've got spirit guide, but it's always a 1-on-1 thing. And what this stadium is provoking is this concept of unity.
Yes.
And huge numbers. And that you're a group, you're a family, you're working together.
And what I think, to add on to that, when you go to a baseball stadium and you're sitting in the seats, you're there watching, you know, the baseball team. You're there to support them. So you're getting the support that you need from your angels, from your beings who are there to help you. It's your support system, just like you said.
And they're there because they want to be there.
Right.
Sure you want.
Yep.
But it's this concept of numbers and unity that's different to me. And
right.
I think that that's where we are in the new reality that we're building. It was like earlier Colleen asked, well, you know, Dolly said that she didn't think that there would be another election, that she just felt that. And to be honest with you, I felt the same thing. Mm-hmm. And so Colleen was, well, what are you going to have, you know, instead? And so when I asked her, well, what do you think? You know, she immediately started to talk in terms of, you know, an equality.
Right.
Of everybody. No hierarchy.
Right.
So, you know, and that's power. I mean, think of the power that the stadium image is giving us, was our ability to work with the angels. And we say angels, but again, it's hard to define all of the beings. They're not just, they don't all look alike. You know?
Well, I mean, and it's funny because my mom wants me to give a few examples of what happened. I'll give a few from this week. So I don't know if anybody here knows it, but we're moving to North Carolina. We're leaving New Jersey. My husband got a really good job offer, and it looks like everything's moving in the motion of us going down south. My husband's listening. He's probably going to be pissed off that I'm saying this because we haven't gotten the official package from the company yet. But when I say to my angels, hey guys, I don't want to be in New Jersey anymore. I really want to go down to North Carolina. I feel that it's going to be a better place for me and my family to live. So within a couple days, I think he got the call Monday, and this has been like 3 or 4 weeks since he went down to North Carolina to do the meet and greet. Monday, he gets a call from the boss saying, hey, so we are putting your package together. You'll probably have it by the end of this week, early next week. So that's the big thing for us. You know, I was praying and I was asking my angels to assist me to get down there. Not that I don't think New Jersey is beautiful, it's just really expensive, and I don't want to keep spending a kidney, an arm, and a leg every time I need to go to the grocery store, gas station, or a doctor. So Thursday, we had our realtor who actually sold us the house come through the house, and, you know, a couple things needed to be changed. We really had to redo the carpet downstairs. It is just disgusting with animal stuff. Not that I don't clean my house. My cats are just jerks. They just tore it apart. So she said, listen, you know, it's one thing that would turn buyers away, so just fix the floor downstairs. This morning I got up really, really early to go to the barn, take care of my horses, and then come home and start work and get everything done. So as I'm coming home, I'm talking to my angels, guys, please make this move happen. This is so important to our family and so important to us that I think that it's something that we really need to do. So I come home, I start working on some Google Analytics stuff so I can get my certificate, and my husband comes into the dining room because he fell asleep, and he hands me his phone with an email on it from Lumber Liquidators. 29 cents laminate flooring. Sure, why not? We go and look at it, and this was the only thing that was holding us up from actually putting the house on the market this week, is that the flooring needed to be fixed. And we didn't want to pull up the carpet and not have anything there. It would just be straight and bare concrete. So we went to Lumber Liquidators, and we ended up purchasing the floor for downstairs. Now, this was not something we were supposed to do for like 2 to 3 weeks from now. So again, I really think that the angels were pushing and melding and trying to get everything in so that we could get down to North Carolina as soon as possible. So after we got the flooring, I definitely added in, hey guys, I'd like to sell the house in 2 months so I can be down there as soon as possible. So that was my story from this week.
Yeah, they're there. They're there. They so many, a lot of times they're working and you don't even have to ask, and that's sort of the way that a lot of my life has been, that somebody was working in the background, and it was only as I got more experience with the fact that, I have some really magical things that have happened about my life, just in my life. I mean, for instance, when I joined the military, this girl that I was in the basic training with, we were just kind of talking about how it was that we ended up there. And she had actually started as an enlisted person and then was able to go to officer candidate school, which was what she was in. She was in my class, but that was her designation. I was a direct commissioned officer because of my college degree. And they would take you and give you a second lieutenant rank just because you had college.
Right.
So, we were just talking about, why we'd gotten into it, and she said, well, why are you in the Army? And I said, well, because I'm going to do something that nobody else can do, and I'm going to get to the top of the Army faster than anybody can imagine. And she looked at me like, what an idiot, because she was enlisted, at that.
Right.
And what happened was that by my first posting, in other words, the place that I was supposed to have.
Your first location, yep.
Yeah, first location where I had a job. I'd been going to school for, quite a few months, at that point. They had the first thing that they did to me was they said, you got to read this SOP, Standard Operating Procedure, and what the particular agency, which was called the Signal Security Agency, what its mission was. So I'm reading it, and lo and behold, it says that the agency is responsible for assessing and informing all of the Army and also the White House regarding the vulnerability to electronic warfare.
Right.
Foreign nations. And it just so happens that because I had been at Fort Huachuca, which was the intelligence school some months before that, and because of I happened to have leave time, before the next school started, I had nothing to do. And I ended up writing the first program of instruction on the Soviet Warsaw Pact military tactics that had ever been presented at Fort Huachuca. So I went from having a reputation for being the person that wrote the entire program of instruction that everybody else was getting in the intelligence school to this particular place that was now responsible for telling everybody about the threat to their electronic warfare, their electronics and stuff, through their electronics. And so I asked the guy sitting next to me, who was a civilian, I said, is this true you guys do this here? And he said, well, we used to do it. He said, we haven't had anybody doing that for years. He said, actually, I used to do it, but then I had other things and they took me away from it, so nobody's doing it, even though it's required by the regulation.
Right.
And I went, cool. So I go into the colonel, who's the boss of this agency, and I said, you see this right here? You're not doing it. And he looks at it, and he'd never seen it before, and he went, oh my gosh. And he looks at me, and I said, don't worry about it, I can do it. I said, just give me a blank check. And he gave me the blank check, and in the end, when work that I had done regarding how vulnerable they really were resulted in the complete reorganization of the U.S. Army Intelligence Organization, that agency disappeared, but the unit that I had set up out of that agency went to the top of the command. I wasn't even there. I was out of it by then. But, you know, it was like I did exactly what I told that girl I was going to do. I went someplace that only I could do that job. Only me. And it would take me to the top of to the Army. But that I got into that story because of the way that we actually are always under somebody else's control. I didn't plan all this. I sort of just went along with it. And then as I got more and more knowledge and more experience, it's like, oh, I've got angels that are here helping me. You know, I've got spirit guides.
Yep.
I was never alone, and I never did feel alone, and I always felt secure until, you know, I started understanding this Nazi timeline, jump the timelines. But they're always there, and I think to get to the next level of conscious evolution, we have to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And work with it. And the more you work with it, the more you see it works, the more you work with it. And then other people are saying, what's your secret? Oh, I talk to the angels. There's a stadium down the street. Just go to it. Where's the stadium? Well, it's in your head, but, you know.
Yeah. You know, my husband's on the chat right now, Phantom Gray, and he is a skeptic. And he even said to me, I think it was this morning, he says, I've been talking to your angels. And I stopped him. I said, why aren't you talking to yours? He's like, what do you mean? I said, well, think of them as, I gave him the scenario, think of the stadium. He says, oh, okay. So I told him, start talking to your angels. I mean, mine are obviously very busy with me right now because I'm a handful to begin with. But talking to your angels truly does help you. And it helps, I would say, it helps as being almost, what's the word I'm looking for? It helps you I don't know how I'm trying to put this out, but it helps set the tone for how you want it to work out. So if I'm talking to somebody or I'm talking to my angels and I say the highest good for all involved, I truly mean it. I truly mean that everybody who is involved in the decision or whatever's happening with the angels, that they do benefit as well as I do. I think being positive about it and having the positive vibe when you're talking to your angels really gets them to be more helpful, I guess. That's, if anybody follows. If you don't, sorry. I'm trying to go through an ADD mind with this.
I actually can understand what you're saying. I think it comes down to the fact that when we're dealing with the angels and we're giving permission to ourselves to believe in the angels,
mm-hmm.
all right, you give permission to the angels to interact with you.
Right.
And what you're doing is you're storytelling.
Yep.
All right, you're saying, you know, I needed the floor fixed and they helped me out there because how else would it have happened? My husband needs a job and he gets it, and Dolly's stories are like, you know, how else does he ask for help and you get to all these weird things start happening that
mm-hmm.
get you to where you know, wanted to go. When I'm doing it, I kind of don't after all these years, I don't presume to know better than them.
Never.
You know, so I don't anymore say, could you get a new roof on my house, because that I'm being too specific. I need to know. I just make the house secure.
Right.
Make my. If you go with how you want to feel more so than the details, but in reality, the only way that you're going to learn the real powers is through the storytelling.
Yeah.
So when we tell people, Walt and I, and Dolly now too, don't be specific, understand that when you are being specific, all right, it's not that it's wrong, it's just that it's limiting. Right. However, as far as storytelling go, and I think that the whole reason for any of this is to tell stories.
Yep.
Where would we be if we didn't have stories to tell? We'd all sit around not staring at each other.
Right.
So, I applaud you for bringing them in like that.
Something had to give. I was at a point in my life where things were just not going well. And I didn't know how it was going to work. I didn't know what was going to happen. It was such a difficult time for me. And I guess at that point I was like, well, it can only go up. So let's see how this goes. And since talking to them, I'm telling you, it's made a very large difference in my life that I don't think would have happened without it. I ask them to make sure my day goes well, to make sure that everybody around me is in good health, my animals are in good health, and make sure that everything is going to run smoothly and we're going to have a wonderful, beautiful day. Granted, the wonderful, beautiful day is turned into no rain for like 3 weeks, and we are in dire need of some rain and some relief from the heat, but it's still been a very beautiful day for the last couple of weeks. Mom said, and give permission to ourselves to allow the good to happen to us. That's Absolutely. A very valid point, because there's a lot of times that I would say, please make sure this person is okay. But I would forget to include, and make sure I'm okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, again, it sort of is like, the only way you can give yourself permission to is to imagine that it can happen. And that's why when you come on, and Dolly and everybody else, and we talk about the really miraculous, magical things that happen once you engage the spirit side of existence, give them permission. But you have to be able to imagine that it can be done. And then you have to go into but you're worthy of it, because she's right. A lot of people can imagine it for somebody else, but not for themselves. And the key is to realize that, everybody, if I could just make people feel like I feel, which is that I am special, but so isn't everybody else.
Yep.
All unique. We're all special beings. I love hanging out with myself. Mm-hmm. And once you get to that point, then you begin to realize that, wow, I like hanging out with other people. Mm-hmm. It opens up everybody has just got a story to tell, and it's all storytelling. That's
yep.
Experience.
You have to love yourself in order to love others, and that's something that isn't necessarily about angels. It's well known, public speaking. I had a public speaker come into my high school when I was, sophomore or junior year, and he said, listen, he's like, I'm going to sit up here and talk a lot. He says, but if there's one thing I need you to take away from this is you need to love yourself before you can love anybody else. And he says, and find a way to love yourself. Find the good qualities in yourself so that you can love yourself. And I would have to say that it absolutely stuck with me. There were times where I didn't listen and I didn't pay attention and I went about my own way because as a young teenager to a young 20-year-old, I thought I knew everything. Which, now that I'm 30-something, I know I'm not right. I know I'm not 100% perfect. But I'm starting to love myself again, and I'm starting to realize that I'm worth something and that I'm ready to be the person who I want to be. It's just a matter of finding what I want to be when I grow up. And I think the angels have really helped with that because, you know, I'm trying to find a career that I enjoy and I want to do for the rest of my life. And, you know, it's just not come as naturally as some people have. You know, some people get out of the womb, they're like, I'm going to be a doctor. I never had that. I distinctly remember being in preschool and they asked us what we wanted to be when we grew up. And I was like, well, I don't know. Well, you have to pick something, Emily. Yeah, I don't know. I think I did some kind of like, nurse or something. I don't know. Something I was not interested in. I just put it down on the paper so they would just leave me alone so I can go to nap time. So yeah, I think that they teach us, they show us where we need to go. And they guide us as best as they can. I mean, they're literally our GPS. They are our angelic GPS. Oh, nope, going down the wrong road, turn left here. And then if we don't turn left, because we might be dyslexic, we make that right, they make that right work. And they make sure that the highest good is for us, as long as we allow that good to be for us. Yeah, I can't stop telling people, talk to your angels. Talk to your angels, because if you don't, it's not going to go right. They want to help you. They are begging you to help.
And you always feel like you're part of a crowd too, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, another thing I deeply appreciate in them is that when I'm swearing at them, mm-hmm. Why did you let that happen?
Yeah, right.
Because it normally is something happens that I don't like, that I find, like, okay, so I wasn't in control, but you should have been, and that shouldn't have happened, you know?
Yep.
They just kind of like, you know, smile at me and send me love. And
well, I think my angels have no problem putting me in my place when I think I'm all high and mighty. Because today, after I got home from shopping, I had my phone and an iced coffee in my hand, and sure enough, I dropped both, cracked my screen into 1,000 pieces, a slew of curse words came flying out of my mouth, and I don't know what I was more upset about, my phone being cracked or the fact that I dropped a full entire cup of coffee. I'm still kind of debating on that.
Oh, Lord.
So they definitely put me in my place today. Said, hey, you're getting too big for your britches, lady. Sit your butt down. And then I kind of walked in and I said to Glenn, I was like, I don't know what I could be mad about. I really don't, because I knew I shouldn't have done it, and I kept thinking, oh, I'm on a roll today. I'm really lucky today. Sure enough.
And I bless them for that too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They're always hanging out, just, you know, slap you in the back of the head type of thing.
Yeah, like Gibbs Move from NCIS.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That's absolutely true, because if I got too big for my britches, who knows what I could do? Probably take over the world. It would be disastrous. It's, you know, I said to my one girlfriend, I said, you know, I talked to my angels last month, and they really pulled my butt out of a fire. And she's like, well, I don't necessarily believe in angels. She's like, I don't really believe in anything. I was like, all right, well, what do you think happens when you die? She's like, I'm going to go to heaven. Okay, so if you don't believe in heaven, how do you not believe in anything else? Do you just think it's an open door policy and they just let every Joe, Curly, and Mo come through? She was, it was, I don't know, she was a difficult person to start getting into. She's also very narcissistic and very, picky. And she always has to be right. Nobody's ever, you know, more right than she is.
Well, the best part about being where I'm at now is that I don't have to be right. I have to know. I really don't care. You know, it doesn't matter to me that I'm right. I just have to know. Because I've seen so many times throughout my life where I thought I knew based on all the information, and then you get a whammy and you go, whoa.
What the heck?
I didn't know about that. Now that changes everything. And so, that happens to you enough times and you go like, I don't know what's right or wrong or how it is. I just know that I want to know. So if I tell you something and I'm saying, look at based on the information I have right at this second, this is what I'm thinking, but I'm also very much aware that in the next second something could come along that would change my mind.
Right.
And if you're stuck in a story, that's why I see people stuck in a story that they think that, all right, like let's look at Taryn, okay, because we've been talking about him. He's stuck in a story about the Sphere Alliance and that he's got, but that's a really good story. I like that story. I want to get stuck in that story too, But then you've got people, because everything that I know is supporting what his storyboard is saying, right? Mm-hmm. But then you got other people who you come up with something like the Mandela effect, and you say, well, this is the Mandela effect, this is what's happening, and they can't even understand what you're saying.
Right.
Because they're stuck in their story, and their story does not accept the Mandela effect. So it's almost like realities come down to stories. Which story are you going to feel comfortable with? Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable with death and destruction and starvation and being mean to people. That's not where I'm at. I don't watch those movies. I don't want to watch those movies. I want to watch movies where I learn things and I feel good things like joy and love. And I love to cry those happy tears at the end of movies, So why can't we make our reality a story of, just really good things and interesting things and exciting things that don't take into consideration death and destruction and, sacrifice and suffering. I mean, why? Let's get rid of that shit. Doesn't make any sense to me, it just doesn't.
No, and I completely agree. I think that I'm trying to put this together, and it's hard for me because my brain is literally fried. I've been up way too long today. When we deal with we'll call them beings. We're not just necessarily going to call them angels, because I think you're right. I think they're not just angels. I think they're a vast majority of beings. I think when you're able to connect on the level where you're now thinking of them as an equal, and it's hard for some people to put something you can't see, feel, touch. Feel and touch are the same thing. See, touch, taste, smell isn't real. And I think once they realize that they're truly a part of your life, not just as the people who are making the big things happen, but as your soulmates, almost. I think that's when things start to get better and you're able to really maneuver your positions together, your lives together, and everybody's accepting of it. I think that would be our best. I think that would be our best way of dealing with such beings.
Well, not only that, but that's how you become empowered. Mm-hmm. And that's why they teach children, no, you don't have imaginary friends. Mm-hmm. Of course they do.
Yep.
Those are spirits that the child in his innocent and unprogrammed mind is able to perceive.
Right.
And we as a society beat it out of them. So, and that learning that is terrible. It stays with us. And it's like, the more that we will get out there and we will talk the talk, mm-hmm. The more people are going to feel comfortable with it. I know I've been doing this for a while, and things that I said that people thought were absolutely nuts are now said by everybody. Now that's not because I said it and then they followed. It's because I try to stay open and attuned to the collective consciousness. Like Shungite, for instance. I was led to Shungite, and I said at the time, I'm telling you, we're 3 months ahead of the curve. In 3 months' time, because at that moment there was no Shungite presence in the United States.
Right.
There were 3 vendors that were selling some of the nuggets for water purification, but really there was nobody here. And I said, we've got 3 months to build this our concept of it. And then after that, I said, wait and see what happens. It'll be all over the place. And that's exactly what happened. 3 months. But that's because I can feel the collective consciousness, where it's kind of going, Not in the terms of predicting. I don't think you can predict the future. I think you can only create it. Mm-hmm. So but it's being open to that kind of energy. And I see things that, like I say, that, a few months ago were not even understood. Now everybody knows it, everybody talks about it. Those are the changes that are making the changes in the awakening, and that's why it's exponentially getting faster. Now, one of the important ones, and we should talk about Ancient Aliens, because that program in and of itself was a massive change in perspective in a lot of people, whether they know it or not. It was like my sister watches Ancient Aliens and all of a sudden can start to understand what I've been trying to tell her. So did you just get into it, or?
I've been into it for years. And yeah. I always thought that it was interesting, and it started making sense when I first, started coming around with the first season. I was like, this is kind of hard to say they're wrong, because they're giving you valid explanations. Everyone's like, oh, well, the Mayans didn't have really good tools, but why did they build such fantastic pyramids and sacrifice chambers and all this kind of stuff? Well, maybe they were getting help from somebody who was a little bit more intelligent than what we currently had at the time. I've always been interested in Egypt. I've always been interested in ancient Mayan culture, the Stonehenge, all of the heads on the Galapagos Islands. So each one I have been rewatching because, again, I have an addiction and I can't help it. But each one, I've rewatched them tons and tons and tons of time, and every single time I pick up something new because it is packed with information. So I start to do more research online, and I start to say, or look up, okay, well, what really is behind the heads of the Galapagos Island? I've found some funny memes online. I've seen some pretty cool things. But a lot of what they say gives people the need to go and actually look it up and research it. I wouldn't necessarily go use Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is a open source. You could pretty much type that whatever you want in there and they keep it. So I wouldn't use Wikipedia for anything that you're researching. Please, guys, don't. It's the bane of my existence. I hate when my clients use Wikipedia because it makes my head hurt. But if you're going to do research, go to reputable sites. Find reviews on the information. Or even, open a book. Go to the library. Read about ancient civilizations and their different, the different cultures that they had within or traditions they had within their culture. It's just, I get fascinated by it. Absolutely fascinated by it. Actually, as we're talking, I have Ancient Aliens playing right in front of me as I'm on the phone, or on the Skype, talking to you guys.
So you never read Chariot of the Gods?
No. Is that something I should read?
Oh my God. Oh wow. Chariot of the Gods was written, oh my heavens, was it in the 70s, maybe? And it was, Von
Daniken.
Yes, say that again, please.
Eric von Daniken. Daniken.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
And he had gone around and looked at different ancient places, and he could see that the only explanation was that there were, a higher civilization here to make these things. And when he came out with the book, it was mind-bending. Now you got the internet and you can pick this stuff up pretty fast, but at that time nobody nobody would have considered the fact that history is so much different. He was probably one of the most important people that came along because he was looking at it. Now, he came under all sorts of attack, but the fact of the matter is you will see him on Ancient Aliens. He's still alive. He is, I mean, yes, there are things that he made interpretations of that have now been, brought into question, but the core of his belief system set off everything. Ancient Aliens, the TV program, would not be here without him. So
and you said it was Chariots in the Sky?
Chariots of the Gods.
Of the Gods.
And he actually wrote quite a few of them. But that was the first mind-bending. I mean, at the time, just imagine that nobody even conceived of such a thing. Mm-hmm. And this guy comes out and he starts to talk about it. He's written a book about it. And even though you can't even imagine that it's true, when you see the data, you can't imagine that it's not true.
Right.
Amazing, amazing book.
Well, I just downloaded it from audible.com. So if anybody is listening and wants to check out audible.com, they have a 30-day pass, by the way, guys, for free. And you get one free purchase. I would check out the Chariots of the Gods. That seems like a really, really awesome idea.
It made the difference for me in my generation, the 60s generation. It was one of those wacko things, like, oh my God. And
Colleen just said that she has it on the archives, so you guys can also do that.
Oh, she read it into the archives.
Yep.
So it's an audio book.
I put that in there?
Somebody said I read. Dolly did. I'm sorry.
Dolly did.
Yep, Dolly read it. And it's in the archives.
She thinks it's in the archives.
Oh.
No, that's not a question mark. It isn't. Yes, yeah. It's in the archives. So you can go to the archives, and for $5 you can download the book with Dolly reading. And if you have not heard Dolly reading, it's just lovely. And also Colleen reads, and it's, for most of us to just listen to somebody read a book is, you sit back and you just listen to it. It's wonderful. So you can get a lot of those books on the archives, and for $5 you can download them all. And then the next month, if you haven't downloaded them all, you pay another $5 and you go again.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah.
I would prefer Dolly and Colleen's voice over anything on Audible anyway.
It's lovely.
So yeah, I got into Ancient Aliens a while back, but it's just been something that's always kept my interest. And when we started truly talking about aliens and all of the ways that they've helped society and how, I guess, how the government is trying to tell us that it's not truly there, it just blows my mind.
I know the more we come to the understanding that not only didn't they allow the truth about extraterrestrial life to come about, they have lied about a secret space program.
Yep.
It is essentially such a schism between in humanity, in the species of, that you got a breakaway civilization that's living in the Star Trek universe, and you got the rest of us living in this Ferengi environment of corporate greed, and the Ferengi in Star Trek.
Yep.
And what Walt says is that while everybody was out there making the Star Trek universe, we on the planet were evolving into the Q continuum, which are, very powerful demigods.
Yep.
And that, honestly, is the way I see it. But I also see you've got more and more people that are breaking away from the secrecy of the secret space program and telling what is truth to them. And
right.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, probably truth to us too. Such as Corey Good and Randy Kramer and Mark Phillips and so many. I think his name is Mark Phillips. Phillips is his last name. So there's so many of them that are coming out and actually telling these very bizarre stories. Plus the fact that if you've been in the arena for any amount of time, you've heard about this, but you never had any real factual stuff until, McKenna gets into the files and actually finds names of people who are supposedly on ships, but the ships are not registered as U.S. seagoing vessels.
Mm-hmm.
So you got more and more information that is saying that this space group is out there. I don't think that many of them know about us. Certainly most of us know about them, and I think the real key to what is necessary to happen before the Sphere Alliance can show us, before we go into a really new awakening, is the fact that this breakaway civilization and the civilization that was here comes together.
I absolutely agree. I think it's for us to not believe there's something out there is selfish. I mean, I've had my own experiences with seeing UFOs. I've never met a little green or gray or whatever they call them now person, but I've definitely seen UFOs. And for somebody to say, oh, nobody's out there, there's nothing out there, we're the only humanoids in the galaxy or universes or however they want to say it, don't be selfish. Seriously. We cannot be the smartest beings in the galaxy. And I'm not saying that as a culture we're not intelligent, but I'm just saying there's gotta be somebody out there who is far more intelligent that was able to jumpstart our race. With the crystal skulls that I talked about in the previous show. Or with the monoliths that they've got everywhere. Or the pyramids, or Stonehenge, or something like that. And also, what blows my mind, too, is back when there was literally no communication between, we'll say, Ireland and South America, all of those cultures were coming out with pretty much the same folk tales. Or folk stories, or whatever the case is.
Well, that could be explained by the collective subconscious.
It could. I think it's more or less that the aliens are the ones who were passing on information from culture to culture around the world.
See, I kind of think that the aliens are here because according to Simon Parkes and others, that we have instead of the 2 strands of DNA, we've actually, and this is a known thing, that we have 2 strands of DNA, but it comes down to 90% of DNA, nobody knows what it's supposed to be for.
Right.
Now, the Russians have looked at that 90% of what the West calls the junk DNA, and they found many, many, many stories about what this really is about. But if you're going to think in terms of ancient aliens and the fact that they were doing DNA manipulation, and Simon Parkes says that within the human DNA, you have the signature, or as Taryn would say, the essence of many soul families.
Right.
So I think that that's what is the key to understanding the magnitude that humanity is holding within the universe. Is that you got the first level of creation, which was the 11 essences, according to Taryn. Then they make a second wave of creation with 100 essences. Now, I think that what we've got going here is that the 3D manipulation of those essences, the ones that started to experience 3D, in other words, the 100th made a third wave of creation of 3D beings that in and of themselves had manipulated at the 3D level to create even a more unique essence. An essence that has the combination of many, many soul families. And that's humanity. And that's why when we awaken to our real essences and our real powers, that's why the whole universe will change.
That makes a lot of sense.
Well, I'm just basing it on what I've been hearing, and what I've been seeing. And yes, I get, little messages, little tweaks, look at this, look at that, do this, that. And, I see myself as more of a, kind of like an intelligence officer, I'm seeing all these little things, happening out there in the battlefield, and I have to determine what all these little things means in terms of what is the other guy thinking?
Right.
How's he seeing reality? So that I can tell the commander, well, reality seems to look like this to them, and this is what it looks like to me. Right. So you can summarize all the details for the commander, and I see the commander as everybody that ever listens to me.
Right.
I'm trying to give you an intelligence appraisal of the reality battlefield. And battlefield is not a good name for it, except that it invokes the concept of thought warfare. And that's where I think we're playing right now, is thought warfare. And we've just got to be able to continually energize the thoughts of people into accepting the possibility, if not the probability, that we are about to go through a massive change in the universe, not just on Earth. And to do that requires people to be willing to let your imaginations go where they've never gone before. I mean, Taryn talked about old buildings. He said to Dolly, well, your body's just going to fall away. And she was like, what? What's that mean? And then you can have whatever body you want. Oh, okay. Is everybody else doing that too, And it is true. It's like your body will just all of a sudden begin to feel better. It will, basically go to the body that is most perfect for your energy, and it'll change, because your energies are going to continually change. But you're going to have like perfect little vessels for the energy. And when you get to that point, then you are able to be very focused and very balanced, and then you can open up your mind to the potential of everything. I keep seeing this ever since I heard him say it. I keep seeing buildings, dilapidated buildings, just going away. And in their place, these beautiful, beautiful buildings. Residents and everything that you need right there. Everything that Colleen said that she wanted in the new future, Because basically in the new reality, we're not going to have the contract of needing to survive.
Right.
If that contract is broken, then you're not going to have to fight for survival. And that's what's taking 99% of your time. So, yeah, that's kind of the way I'm seeing it.
I think you're absolutely spot on with that. I think it's, I think once we accept that when we get to our new bodies or how we're going to change and grow into them, I see in the chat room they're talking about past lives, and, what if the possibility is that once we get to our new bodies, all of our past lives come back to us? And we no longer have to work to survive because we have all of those past lives to give us the empowerment that we need to be just humans. Because essentially we've already learned in all of our lives on Earth or wherever we've been the lessons that we've needed to learn. And if it happens that we go over to our new bodies, everything that we knew in our previous lives comes.
Well, I don't think we're going to new bodies. I think we're going to take the molecular configuration of the bodies we have. See, again, the etheric body is what gives you the blueprint for your physical body. And this is vibrational medicine. This is enerology. This is actually science, okay? That's what happens. You have an energy body called the etheric. Other people will call it the astral, but to me it's the etheric. And so that etheric body, which is like the separation between yourself as a 3D version and yourself in a higher frequency. Okay? Mm-hmm. That energy field right there is what is changes. If it changes, your body changes instantaneously. Okay? So if we're going to go into a situation where our bodies change, the 3D is just going to reflect the etheric body. I mean, this is how Jesus did the resurrection thing. And
very true.
And the scorching of the Shroud of Turin was that the etheric body essentially went to a different frequency, and that frequency matched another human being that was alive that just happened to be the gardener. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because that's how everybody said they saw the gardener. Well, yes, because Jesus had just matched his etheric to that body. And the person that had been the etheric version of that prior to that, for whatever, went someplace else. He did a walk-in. And when he changed the etheric blueprint, what happened was that his 3D body no longer had the molecular cohesion that occurs when the etheric is there, and it just blew up in all this radiation, because they know that it was radiation that scorched the Shroud of Turin. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened. It lost its molecular cohesion, so instead of the decay of the body in normal way of, turning into dust, it just simply lost its cohesion, and when the molecules broke apart, there was this radiation given off by the molecules that scorched the shroud.
Wow.
But that's how that happened. And, honey, you're at the top of the hour.
We are at the top of the hour. Nancy, I truly enjoyed having you on the show tonight. Thank you for coming on short notice.
Anytime.
So I would like to thank everybody for listening. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful week. Again, everybody like my Facebook page so you can stay updated with what we're going to do. It would mean a lot to me. And I guess we'll turn this over to Colleen. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.
Thank you. Great show, guys.